Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Play Podcast. It's Ebony.
And this is Ciera.
And we have Miss Jocelyn back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, ladies.
You're welcome.
Melanin
Thank you for coming
Queen.
back. Yes.
Thank you for coming back, listeners. If you have not listened to our Bridgerton episode, you are missing out. Our guest was here for that, and she dished about her feelings, her thoughts on the show, the series that I still have not watched. But if you haven't heard it, go listen. We are thankful that you are back with us with that smile, y'all. Her smile just lighting up everything. All of the how many teeth we have in our mouth? 32? I don't know. Anyway, they all white. Thank you for coming. They matching your hoodie, girl.
Okay.
Right. This red lip. All right.
Yes. Thank you for coming back. So, what are we talking about today, y'all? What are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about abstinence. It's going to be quite a conversation. I do want to kind of catch up a little bit before we go into abstinence. And I will say, let's talk about like health because it's been the pandemic. We've all been having these ups and downs when it comes to whether we have COVID, whether you don't have COVID. Me and you talked about this year. I've been like, I won't say sick, because it's not like physically like I couldn't like do anything, but I've been having headaches for like 5 and 6 days in a row. And like the first thing that you think about when you get sick is like, do I got COVID? Like, and it could be simply, I feel like I have a sinus issue, maybe a sinus infection or something, but I got tested anyway. It was negative. But also I've been talking to friends and they're like, oh my God, so when am I going to get COVID? It's not like, will I get COVID? It's like, when I get it. And then I've talked to some coworkers who, because I at my job, we can get the shot. We've been able to get the shot since it first came out. And so I've been talking to people on whether to get the shot or not. And some people who weren't able to get the shot are like, Ebony, you should really get the shot. You have the opportunity. I'm like, well, stay out of my business and off of my body. Let me come to the conclusion that I really want to do this. If you guys know me, I like looking up information. I like researching. And to me, please do, what you're going to do when it comes to the vaccine. But for me, I need more research. I need more information. I need more data. That's just me.
I hear that. Like, I hear the good, I hear the bad, pros, cons, but again, whatever you decide to do with your body is what you decide to do with your body. And whatever I'm gonna do with my body, I'm gonna do with my body. And so don't even ask me because I'm not gonna tell you.
Okay.
It's okay, honey. None of your business.
So what's strange is at my job, they've been having people be like advocates for the vaccine. So if they have taken the vaccine, they want you to go out and like promote to other coworkers. And I'm like, I don't really think you should be. I mean, I get the principle about it, but you can't be so pushy on people trying to make them take this vaccine. And it's my job. So why are you concerned about my health? Like,
right.
It's a little, I mean, you should be concerned about my health.
I'm about to say, I think they need you to come to work. They might be concerned because like, oh, well, we need her to be healthy. So come to work.
Well, the thing is for me is that the vaccine does not stop you from getting coronavirus. So it's supposed to help reduce the symptoms. So again, I just feel like at the end of the day, you do what you feel comfortable doing. Like if you're in a working environment and you're around a lot of people, you're exposed to a lot, you may be inclined to go ahead and take the vaccine because you are more at risk. If you work in an area that it's just you and another counterpart across the other side of the building, then you may be inclined to hold off on it. I think it just depends on the person's life and structure and how it's set up. And, I know they just started doing a study on pregnant women because that hadn't been out at the time, in terms of how it affects women who are pregnant or women that want to get pregnant. So there were so many things about it that just were unclear. And I feel like a lot of people, they have to research, understand, make sure they're clear at what's going inside their body before they make a decision. I mean, whether you take it or not, I mean, it is what it is. Like the best thing is to keep your immune system up. So take that
Yes.
elderberry, get your vitamins, eat right,
Wash your
exercise,
hands.
wash your hands, those are things, because if you do get it, which people have gotten it, they've also recovered because, they have a strong immune system. They let their body fight it off, and that's just what you do. So
There has been people that have recovered too that still have like lingering symptoms. So I think it just depends on the person and the body, and do what's best for you, because we can't really tell you what to do. Don't do what I would do. Do what you think is best and what you've done. But I will say research, if anything, know.
Right.
One of my girlfriends, she had it, and the symptoms lasted for like a month. Like she literally is just now recovering from the symptoms. I mean, obviously she doesn't have the active virus anymore, but like you said, the symptoms, they do last. So some people could be concerned about that, not even necessarily about actually, getting it, but just so that the symptoms are reduced. So it's like, I'll take it, So
and I will
say that I have heard, um, because it is pressure when people in your job ask you like, hey, are you getting the, how do you haven't made a decision, or you have made a decision, but you don't really want to say anything yet, whether it be yes or no. But I have heard like from my counterparts that are like, well, I wasn't going to get it, but then when I was asked, then I felt like I needed to get it. So then I got it, but I really didn't want to.
Probably because you want to keep your job too, right?
Right.
And you don't want people to look at you differently, like, why are you not getting it? Like you could, so it's like, just let people do what they want to do. Like,
and don't ask the question.
Don't ask.
Correct. And there's stigmas in the Black community. And then I have had people who've had it and they're like, well, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So, again, do your research. Don't be out here pestering people to get the vaccine.
Right.
Because you don't know what's best for someone.
Right.
Right.
Especially in this case.
Yep.
So, all right. So let's move on. Right.
That just takes us to
some transition music.
Yeah, some transition music.
What you got? Because you can sing us something. What you got?
I had it in my repertoire here. I don't know. I'm gonna play my last song I listened to. But did you guys hear that Bruno Mars song though? It was actually really
yes.
No, I haven't.
You talking about Anderson?
Yes,
the first day it came out. Yes, on repeat. Hold on. What is it called?
It's called
Open the door, close the door.
Open door. Oh. Or the door is open, something like that.
Something about the door.
Something about the door being open. And I was like, see, this is why I gotta be this is a segue song.
Leave the door open, is it?
The door open.
That's it. That song is everything, okay?
Okay, so after we end this podcast, I'm gonna listen to it. I don't want to get us copyright infringement on here because I don't have the money. So.
It is not our song.
Yes, it's a good song. What Anderson, one of my favorite parts, he says, you hungry? I got the Lay's chips or something. I was like, yes. Have them snacks, brother.
It's a sexy song, but it's done in a very
tasteful way.
That's the word. Like it's not like it's just
it's a difference between what they're saying or how they're saying it, and then how like Trey Songz would have said it.
Yes,
it's the same thing. That's what I'm saying.
Or how Jaquez's song. Have you heard his song? Forgive Me. So
not that one either. No.
Okay, so somebody sent me that song. I don't even listen to him, but somebody sent it to me, and I was like,
add that to my list.
It's I'm not going to share my opinion on that song, but there's a difference between that song, which is kind of still promoting the same type of activity. It's just a different delivery.
It's all about the delivery. Theirs is grown and sexy.
Okay.
Definitely
grown and sexy. What is not delivery? It's DiGiorno. So you have DiGiorno and then you have delivery.
So if y'all could tell by the songs that we're talking about and the activities that those songs lead to, usually involve two people, hopefully no more than two people, but hey, in this world,
let's talk about
it can be more than two, but it's at least two people bumping uglies, getting it on, having adult activities, whatever you want to call it, humping,
grinding.
So many words.
Sliding,
we should look up it. We should look it up in Urban Dictionary and see what it says, because I'm sure there's a lot.
What it says about what?
Sex.
Okay.
But basically, we're talking about sex, but not about having sex, but more on the lines of abstaining from sex. So
We
that's
ain't the
what
only people that's been looking it up because it came up really fast.
Oh, but yeah, all about yeah, abstaining.
abstaining from sex. So I think where we should start right now, and as we were talking about earlier, like you can abstain from anything. You
Right.
can abstain from sex. You can abstain from watching reality TV. You can abstain from eating certain foods, drugs, gaming, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Good or bad, you can abstain, which just means not doing it.
Mhm.
So when it comes to abstaining from sex, um, in today's culture, it's really hard because you see movies, you see music videos, you hear songs that are very sexualized, and sometimes the sex doesn't start with the body, it starts in the mind, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you start thinking the thoughts and then you want to act on the thoughts. So
Yep.
let's can we start by just kind of like giving a personal experience testimony. I don't even want to use the word testimony because then that sounds like someone walking up in the front of the church in this long story. But like, can we talk about what it's like to abstain in 2021?
Sure. Yes. I think it's better if we go back a little bit because I've known Jocelyn since college and we both have been abstaining
Yeah,
forever for life.
for life.
For life. And so I think, and you can speak to this, when I was in college, it was not fresh in my mind, but I had the mindset to say, this is what I'm doing. Everyone around me knew. So I think in college, like if you know, then someone else knows and they pass the word and everybody has like a, me and Jocelyn also went to a Christian school and I don't know if that's the reason, but everybody had like a respect. Nobody kind of tried me knowing that this was something that I believed, honestly. And even guys that I had talked to, um, or might have like wanted to do something with wouldn't even like cross that line because they knew that was something that I had valued.
I'm
So
gonna
I
go
think it
ahead
was,
and say part of that going to a Christian school is kind of part of what helped with that. Because,
but these guys weren't Christian that much Christian.
huh?
They weren't that Christian.
But they were still going to the school. Like if you were going to a regular old university, like with regular people that probably shouldn't even be in college, I don't know how they got there. I think it would be a little bit different because they're not even, the religious part is still there if you're going to a school where they're going to at least teach you something. Like you're hearing something on a
I
religious.
don't. I honestly, personally, don't want to pin it on the religious side because I know a lot of people that went to school that wasn't really religious that just probably went there for a scholarship or that just went there because that was the school that took them. But I will
Okay.
say, I think it's because it might be something like Southern values. A lot of people were from the South. A lot of people were how they were raised. I just think they were gentlemen and kind of like I don't know. I think, and you can speak for me, Jocelyn. At our school, we probably built this like uh, friendship group to where everybody knew everybody. And I think it was because we went to a small school. It was just like I'm gonna be respectful. Not everybody was, but the majority.
Well,
Mm.
yeah, that. And then I also think too that it was what am I willing to work for? And I know what she's about, and I know
Yeah, true.
it's not, they're young, like they ain't really trying to, I mean, they're not trying to wipe us up, So if you wasn't about to give it up easily, then they're cool. Like I'm cool with you, but I'm gonna just go on to the next because
That's true.
there were options there. So I know for me, it wasn't, it wasn't on my mind. Like I, coming out of high school, my mind was not to, I'm coming to college and meet somebody and have sex. That wasn't my thing either. I just was being who I'd been my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Taking it back a little further, growing up in the church. My dad was a pastor. We had our church when we used to live in Michigan. Then we moved to Virginia, joined another ministry in the area. I've always been in church my life. So my faith is what had me even take on this journey of being abstinent. So from that, it just stayed with me. So even when I got to college and I got into my first relationship, because I had never been in a relationship before until I got to college, um, we were together for like 3 years and we never you know, not to say they didn't come close, because I'm human now. I mean, he was entitled. I mean, there was a couple lines that probably was scribbled on that shouldn't have been, but you know, it was just something that we just chose to do. And you know, like Ebony is saying, I think it was just more so like them respecting. And there's a difference because there are men who be like, "Oh, I respect what you do," but in the back of their minds, they're thinking, "Okay, I'll just give her like, you know, a few months. Like I don't mind waiting. While I'm waiting for her, I'll be doing blah blah blah."
But like you said, who waiting in college? Nobody.
No one.
So I think that, to your point, that probably was it too.
Yeah.
And
So
I do want to say I didn't necessarily. Mine was faith-based, but it wasn't. So I grew up in the church, but mine was also because I saw within my family line that people, I looked around my small town and said, what's the one thing that is keeping everybody here? It's because they're having sex and they're having kids and they can't, you know, move further in life. And I wanted something different. And so that was the one thing I told myself that will allow me to go further in life if I just don't have sex and I'm able to get to college, get through college, and then, you know, I wasn't anticipating after college. You know, I just wanted to get through college. It just happened to be a little longer than expected. So that was that.
You're saying longer because it was only to just get you through college, and now it's just like, oh, kind of like how I became natural. Like I was like, I'm just gonna do 2 months. Next thing you know, 2 months is 3 months. Next thing you know, it's like 9 years later, and you're like, it wasn't the plan. But hey, if it comes to it where I decide I want to relax, or I'm not 100% against it, I just haven't done it in such a long time that I'm not pressed for it.
Absolutely. And I also think that I thought that I was going to be very naive, I will say, married at 21, from 21 to 25. I thought that I was going to get married somewhere in there. And
young.
That's just the mindset that you have coming from a small town. So I really thought that I was going to be married somewhere in there to where I wouldn't be a virgin long. So in longevity, speaking of, like, you know, college is short. So I thought, okay, I can make it through, you know. And to be honest, I'm going to completely be honest on this podcast. There was times where I came close, like Jocelyn said, and I could have just almost crossed the line. And sometimes, you know, you think back and you be like, man, I should have. But at the end of the day, I think that it saves you from a lot of things too.
Well, in that case, no, yeah, I definitely get it, Ebony. That's a good point. Like initially, not only just basing it off of your faith, but just your surroundings and the environment. Because where I grew up, it was the same thing. Like where I actually grew up in Michigan, a small town, Jackson, Michigan. Like that's what people did. Like they were having children young and they stayed and they were stuck, you know. And then it's like once they have their kids and their kids have kids young, and it's a never ending cycle. So I can definitely, like, I feel you on them, like trying to get out of that, you know, tip. And then it's funny when you talk about your transitioning to be natural too, right? Because for me, I did the same thing. Although I did want to be natural, like I was saying, okay, I'm gonna try it, but I'm not opposed to relaxers. It's just that when I went overseas, because I worked overseas for like 2 years, and I didn't have anybody to do my hair, and I didn't trust anyone over there to put a relaxer in there. I don't know how to do hair, so I kind of just did it by default. And then at that point, I'm like, well, I'm 2 years in, so
keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about relax. I mean, if you want to relax, it's fine. Like, it's not saying I would ever. I mean, I wouldn't get one because I don't need one. But if it was like, get a relaxer, and I'll give you $10 million, then I'll get a relaxer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that like harped on in this stand.
Be like, I'll even put it in myself. Here, give me a spoon. I don't even need the brush. I'll do it myself with a spoon from the kitchen.
Okay, like I'm fine. So yeah. That's what's up.
All right. So there's a lot of different reasons why people make the decision. So like, what were we gonna say, Ebony?
Oh no, I was gonna tell her, because you know we had a little blimp in the podcast, but I was gonna tell you that I said, and we've talked about this before, that I thought I was gonna be married before after 21, before 25. And so I didn't anticipate a long, you know, abstinence life. I thought it was going to be like short and sweet, you know, college is brief. I thought I was going to meet a guy in college and we was just, you know, the fairy tale, watching movies. I was going to meet someone in college. We were going to date. after college, get married, have kids, live the American dream. That is
that's so real. I don't think I anticipated that either. And it's also crazy because it's different for females. Like it just really is, and just the stigma behind it. And at one point, it was almost like a prized possession, like for a guy to be with a virgin. Like that was like, oh, you're a virgin. And I think now that we're older, in my experiences, now they're just like, oh, no, I don't want to be the one to take that from you. So like, no. So
Smart.
it's just like now we're just in this middle ground, and I look at my ex-boyfriend who broke up with me, which we won't go there. But he's married and doing his thing, and I'm just like, I thought I would be married by now. You know what I mean? Like I'm about to be 33 next month. Wait, are we in February? No, is this March? This is March, right? Yeah, I'm about to be 33 next month. So at that, I certainly was not expecting to have to hold out this long.
And we, Jocelyn and I have private conversations because we are like the last of a dying breed, and we have to, keep hope alive and talk to each other about some things. But we talk about just how hard it is being 33, and a lot of people don't understand. I know people, because everybody is having sex, right? Nobody really understands, like, okay, they're like, so you're 33, you're not in a relationship, and you're not having sex. Like, who the hell, like, who are you? Like, and so it's trying to keep your values and principles, and it's hard not to conform to what other people think, or not to have doubts a lot of times too. Like, will I ever be married? Will I ever have kids? Will I ever lose my virginity? I mean, it's all real thoughts, honestly.
And not even in addition to that, but will I ever lose my virginity, at the marriage stage? Or am I going to break down and not be married, but maybe be in a committed relationship that I know I feel like I'm going to be married, or maybe he's my fiance, so now I feel secure and now I'm willing to. Because to be honest, and I don't know, Ebony, and I know that we share a lot of experiences too, but like even with the guys that I date, like they'll say like, sex is important to me. Like this last dude that I was, cool with, it didn't go anywhere because sex is what he needed. And I'm not knocking you. Like, hey, if that's what you need, everybody got to do what's best for them, right? If you talk about the COVID shot, you got to do what's best for you. Food, you got to do what's best for you. So, but his thing was like, this is what I do. And I'm like, all right, I can't do nothing about it,
So that leads me to a question. I know Ebony has said before that she hasn't really had like a serious like boyfriend. So for you, because you said that you've had boyfriends, how do you navigate like having that discussion and, even spending quality time, especially if you're dating somebody who has had sex before? Because then that's a whole different dynamic than if you've never, dealt with a partner who's into you, you're into them, you're in a relationship, but one of you isn't ready for that step.
Right. Yeah, so my my boyfriend, I was in college, he was actually practicing celibacy. So it helped. However, we it was some moments where we got ourselves in a pickle, a few times. And we had to really be cognizant of like the time we spend together and where we're spending together. And even though in our minds, like I know for me, I can say like, oh, I'm not going to do anything, and you don't want it. Like I never go into a situation wanting to do anything, but sometimes it just happens. So like dating, I bring it out early. I don't know how Ebony's method is, but for me, it's a first date conversation for me. Like I don't have a problem talking about it early, only because it is an expectation for 99% of people. Just be honest. Like that's what it is. And I don't want to, number one, put myself in a situation where I'm digging somebody, I'm feeling him, like we're grown, we're communicating, we're vibing. And then he's thinking in his mind how it works for him. I meet a girl, we vibe. Well, in about a couple of weeks, I should be doing blah, blah, blah. And when that couple of weeks come and he looking like, why we not? And I'm like, why would you think we, and now we're at a pickle. Now we're at a crossroads. Like, because the truth comes out like, hey, I'm not having sex, I'm married. And he's like, well, this is what I do. So I like to get that out early.
Real early.
And the
And I will
thing,
say one real quick that even though I haven't been in a relationship, dating, like Jocelyn said, now I haven't had the topic with everybody. I haven't been like, oh yeah, I'm a virgin. Like not the first.
Yeah. Right.
It's guys that you're like, this is not gonna work out. So no need for me to even go down that road. But I find that even having that conversation with most guys, they're understanding in a way. I don't know if they plan on waiting or they just tell you that until, you find like other stuff that they like, oh, well, let's do this. They want to see how far you can go. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, well, let me take this other step because she let me do this. So,
No, it's so true. It's so true. Some of them are real and they really will respect you. And if, to me, I feel like at the end of the day, if a guy wants you, they're going to do whatever it takes to be with you. That's how I look at it.
Exactly.
And if that means you can't hold out, then that means you better make up your mind if you want to be with me forever. That's how I look at it. Like if that's what it comes down to, then you need to make up your mind quickly, or you got to move on. Because to me, I feel like it isn't fair for a person who's deciding not to have sex to have to give in because someone wants to. I feel like it should be a understanding of whether or not you can agree. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's some level of compromise. Because another thing too is like a lot of people like to live with their significant other. Like I said, the other, guy that I was like cool with or whatever, that was one of the things that he had mentioned. Like, once me and my girl like vibe or whatever, like I want us to move in together before we get married. That's another hurdle. That's like, well, that's going to be difficult because I'm human and I'm attracted to you and you're attracted to me.
Right.
And for me to be waking up and going to bed with you every single day, you in and out of the shower, you walking around in your sweatpants, you just hanging around, you know what I'm saying? I'm in my little night, like it's gonna happen. And then why? I can't say like because once it starts, listen.
It's over. Right. You're right.
So it is a lot about setting boundaries up front, and then don't let us fool you too. It's hard for, like Jocelyn said, it's very hard for us. It's like, yes, we've been doing this for a long time, but at the same time, you still have those desires, you still have wants, you still have needs, and you still want to see what it's like, right? And so,
yeah, like you're curious, you want to. I mean, we're human. Our bodies are made for it. Like this is what our bodies are made for, and at this stage in life, we should be doing it. It's just hard because everybody wants to just do it with everybody. And that's another thing too. Like, I don't want to get pregnant. And I know it's like, well, you can do preventative things, but still, that's just always a fear of mine. Like, or getting some type of like disease. People don't want to be upfront, they don't want to take tests. They don't want to, I just.
There's a whole lot going on. But I do get the whole, like, you can't be living with nobody if that's really what you're trying to do. Because, like you said, getting out the shower or them laying next to you, feel that, whoa, what's that? Yo, I'm asleep. What are you doing? But they just wake up like that. Like, and I think every day. And I'm so glad I'm not a man because that would be irritating. Okay.
Okay.
But.
Like, Lord, can you ever just be at ease?
Like, right. I'm glad I'm a woman. That's all I'm gonna say. I am. All right. So you've talked about the whole dating part and how you just come right out. And most times they receive it well. Yeah. Has there been a time where for either of you where you told them and they were just like, all right, peace out, sis. Like, I'm done. And like, just that was it. Like you didn't talk to them ever again, or maybe like one other time and that was it? Or have they, for the most part, they still kind of, there wasn't a shocker to somebody and he was just ghosted or he ghosted you?
I've had that happen.
You have?
It wasn't like an actual ghost, but he was like, I'm sorry. He's like, you're cool and everything, but I can't date a virgin. And it was cool. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I was fine with it. Like, we were cordial. Our paths didn't cross as much after that because there wasn't really much an effort to make it happen. But I was fine with it. It was early on. My feelings weren't super, I wasn't super invested, so it was an easy rip the Band-Aid off and keep it moving. So that's why I got to keep it up front early. because he was a cool person. And had I kept talking to him, because it also makes you think too, like, well, dang.
Should I keep waiting?
You know,
do I want to keep waiting?
Yes.
Like, is this person worth it?
Yes. Because even with the last dude that I was thinking, I'm like, maybe I should just do it. Like, all right.
Get it
we
over.
weren't even like in a relationship, but we just vibed well, you know. And I was willing to just be like, all right, well, maybe I should just try me, like, whatever. But I'm glad I didn't, because I was some type of way, because we're not even nothing right now. So.
What about you, Ebony?
That has not happened to me. I was gonna say too. I also, this is not to go to another subject, but I haven't met that. You know that people have this perfect Christian man somewhere in a box in the back that we haven't seen. I haven't met him yet. Like that he's gonna be tall and handsome and is gonna wait and is celibate. Where is that man?
We have to stop saying celibate though.
Abstinent. Sorry.
Yes, we don't want celibate because that means never ever. That's like, you've been called by God to live a life of non-marriage, no sex, nothing your whole life. I don't think nobody on this podcast right now wants to live that life. So we just abstaining right now. We not celebrating it at all.
No. Oh my God. Before I turned 30, I remember talking to a friend. I think she had two years. She had sex 2 years prior. But I remember talking to her right before she had sex. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be. I think she was like 28. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be 28 and still a virgin. Like, there's no possible way. And I said, if I am, by the time I'm 30, on my 29th birthday, I'm calling somebody and we going to do something. But I turned 29 and then I turned 30 and here I am.
Here I am. Yeah.
It's a little off topic, but did you guys ever do those pacts like back when you were like elementary school? Like, if I'm not married by X date, you and I, and you're not married, we're going to get together and we're going to get married. Y'all do that?
Our age is 40.
40? Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure we said 30, but he had gotten married and had kids. He's divorced now, but I'm like, nope, you messed it up. You already got married and had kids. Can't go back to you. That's over.
No, but I said 40 because I need time to get somebody. And I'm like, okay, by 40, if I don't have anybody at 40, then all right, come on, let's go get married.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Have you done that, Ebony?
I have, and I don't remember who the guy was, honestly, but I have said it. It probably was like one of my friends or something that I'm just like, yeah, about that. Because honestly, we thought 30 was so old.
That's what I'm saying. We picked 30. I can't believe you went to 40.
40.
Well, so I actually made this pact as a college student. So it wasn't like I was a little kid, So I said 40 because I needed time.
Yeah, we were little kids, like elementary. I may have been in high school. I don't even think we were in high school, like junior high. Doing stuff.
So Ebony, what do you think? So how do you think you feel like if you don't meet? Like what do you think you will decide to do? Do you feel like you will die a virgin, or do you feel like you're like, okay, if I don't find anyone to marry, like I'm gonna experience this before I leave this earth?
So it's a toss-up, right? Because part of me is like, I can just give it up, no care in the world, at least by 35, and I'm pushing it. At this point, I'm 33. I'll turn 34 this year, at the end of the year. And then part of me is like, but I waited. I waited, and I'm so far and so close to the prize. I would like really hate for me to be like, I'm gonna give it up, and then I meet my husband, and I'm like, you were there. You were right there around the corner. I should have waited. Right. So I really don't know. I really, really don't know. And I go back and forth every single day. Pretty much. I'm like, today, I feel like I'll be okay if I don't have sex, until I get married. And then the next day I'm like, I'm probably going to do it before I get married. So I don't know. That's why I never really, and me and Jocelyn talked about this. I might have talked to Ciera about this. I never really kind of told my parents, like it's not something that they forced upon me or made me do, because I didn't want to make them, be like, oh, my baby girl is a virgin, blah, blah, blah. And then when we get married, I'll be like, wait a minute. You know, so it's something that I'm like, it's something personal.
So they don't know?
I think they do know. Maybe not my dad, but my mom does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at this point, they're like, you know, where's this man and where's grandkids at this point?
Yeah, that's all
I'm like, that's too far. Come back to the man. Like, don't go to the kids yet.
Right. Don't get the man first.
But also, it's very hard dating. So think about how hard it is dating, and then put a layer of the fact that we're not having sex on top of it. So I think that's very hard. Yeah, dating is a trip. So I don't know, guys. What do you think, Jocelyn?
I feel you. Honestly, I have the same kind of battle. Like some days I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna hold off because I've done it for so long. You know, I made this commitment for so long. And then other times I'm in my feelings and I'm like, I just do it. I mean, whatever. But a lot of my decision, as I mentioned earlier, is faith driven. So I do have to think like, okay, Lord, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna have to like repent. I'm gonna feel bad for having sex. So there's a couple more layers, for me. And then also I feel like, what happens when I don't want to stop?